Hi guys, welcome back to Java Full Stack Made Easy. This is session 61 where we will be talking about the Angular routing. But before moving on to routing, we will also continue with our previous example where I was actually dealing with the services. So if you remember, I created a student service where I have viewed the student. There was a component called as a view student, and there is a component called as add student component. Add student adds the student into the array. View student retrieves that data from the same service. Similarly, what I would like to have is I would like to have one more component. What I'm thinking of, let's enhance this example. So in this case, what I'm actually looking for is I want to actually have another component called as the delete student component. Okay, and this delete student component obviously deletes the student, as the name suggests. Delete the student. So one single student has to be deleted by using this component called as the delete student component. So you have to actually enhance this student service as well, which will have a delete student component. Okay, sorry, delete student functionality. So let's see how are we going to implement the same into our application. So this is just a continuation of what I have done in my previous example. So now I will go to, I already have a model, so I'm just going to close that model. So view, I'm already done with the concept of view and the add student HTML. So as for now, I'll just close this add student HTML. Yeah, let that be as it is there. So what I will do now is that I will directly go to the service first, which is our student service.typescript, right? So let's go to the student service TypeScript and add one more functionality called as the delete student functionality. So in an array, if we want to delete the data, we use a splice method. Splice method you provide in the index, and also you provide in how many elements from that particular start index has to be deleted, right? So that is the syntax of a splice method. So let's go for the delete. And I don't know, like, when somebody is going to delete the student, in that case what they are going to give me, whether they will give me the index number or they will give me a student object. So in fact, in this case, we will work with the delete student by taking in the student object itself, right? And from the student object we can retrieve the index position of that particular object. Like for example, nobody's going to give me the index position 1 2 3 4, because it will be hard for the user to retrieve the index number and send you the index number. So instead, let's ask the user to send us the object, and we will find out the object and the student, and we will delete that particular object, right? So which would be an easier way of doing it. So we already get a student object. So from out of that student object, what I will do is I'll say this dot students dot index of the object that is provided, which is student in our case. So by doing this, we will get the index position of this particular object. So we'll call it as let index is equal to, and in the delete method we are going to provide that particular index itself. This dot students dot splice method is something that is used to delete the object, right? So splice takes the index position comma how many elements has to be deleted. So you can see that the splice start number and then the delete count is what it takes. So I'm starting it from this index provided by the user, and how many one element has to be deleted. For this, I'm going to generate one more component, and I will call it as the delete component. So ng generate component delete. I can enhance the already existing component, that is view, but for some reason I have actually created a new component called as the delete component. The delete component will contain exactly everything that is there in the view component, but with one extra delete button in it. So let's go ahead and understand how we are going to do that. First of all, I'll just copy everything that's written into the view component.html, and I will put that into the delete component.html. Okay, similarly, whatever is there in the view component.typescript, I will copy everything and put it inside the view component. I'll not change all of this, because obviously if I change that, the selector of the delete component and everything gets changed. So I just want it from this line 13, the constructor and everything. That's it. So I'll copy this and go to the delete component.typescript. That's why I always tell you, do not copy everything in the TypeScript. Okay, HTML you can, but TypeScript do not do that. So now I have to import the student from their model. Yes, it is imported. Now the student service has to be imported. So I'm just doing a control space. Automatically it is going to pop up that and then I'm retrieving that. So here is the view, and it is getting all the students and it is going to display that to me. And that is the same thing I want to also add in here, a list of student, and let's call it as a paragraph delete student. Okay, so let's save it and let's see, two tables should be displayed now. So let's go here, and there is a delete student. I think I have not saved it, so let's go ahead and save everything. So once we save everything, uh, two tables has to be displayed. So a delete student is not actually getting me the data. Delete student, so let's check what is there on the delete student. Delete.html looks good. Yeah, delete works. This dot student, so everything that was there in view, I have simply copied it. List of available student, view works, and delete student is there, which is delete works. Oh, view works, let's remove that. Delete works, I think on the app dot, oh, delete student, I did not add it, so I have to do a app dash delete to display that, right? So let's save it, and there we go. So there is a delete works, and then this component is getting displayed. But for this component, what I actually want is, I want one more column to be added here, with each column containing a button for deleting that particular student. So let's see how are we going to do that. So let's go to the delete component.html. So here I'd like to have one more table head. Fine. So a new table head has to be created now, and that table head should actually contain a button. So let's create a button here in this table head, which is simple. Write button slash button, and what should be the button name? The delete button, right? And upon delete, what should happen? So upon click of this delete button, it should just tell me, it should call a function called as, let's say, delete student. Fine. So now it is calling this delete student, and it has to actually take this argument, the student argument, and we will be passing that argument here. And this delete student function has to be created in the delete TypeScript. So let's go to the delete TypeScript and create the function here. So here is the function, and simply what I'm gonna do is, this student will be of type student. Okay, so now I will just do a console log so that I get the student details, just to know upon click of that whether I'm able to get that student itself or not. So student, let's just save it. In fact, save all. So I've saved both the files. Now let's go here. So you can notice that a delete button is created for all the students. Now let's go to a console log and see things there. If I click on any of the component there, the console log should actually show me that detail. So let's click on this, and yeah, console is here. So you can see that roll number 1 is selected. Now I will go for roll number 3. If I click on that, so you can see roll number 3 is been selected. Roll number 6 button click, if I do that, so that student object is retrieved. So what we have achieved now is that we have created a delete button, and upon click of that delete, we are retrieving that student object. And if you remember, in the service, delete service, I have created a delete functionality. So let's go to the student service. You can see that the delete functionality is created. We need to pass the student object, and it will take the index of that, and from that index it is going to delete one item. So let's see whether we will be able to achieve this task or not by implementing this in our delete functionality. So let's go to the delete component.typescript, and instead of just doing a console log here, what we are going to do is, we will be calling the service method. So the service method is student service dot delete student, and we need to pass the delete student object there. So we'll pass it. Let's just save it, and now see whether the data gets deleted or not upon click of this delete. So I'm clicking on Panda, and Panda is deleted. You can see that the data is getting deleted. So if you keep deleting that, everything gets deleted. Similarly, now there is one problem in this example. First, before moving on to that particular problem, let me just share everything that I have done in this example. So in this example, I just created one more component, that is a delete component, and I have enhanced the student service component. So I'll be giving you that, and that is, since it is the continuation of the previous session, that is day 60, so you can take that example from here and enhance the same. So let's create another repository that is going to be day 61 repository, right? Day 61, and this is demo 1 delete student. So we have a student service dot typescript, and in the student service typescript I have just added this new functionality, that is delete. And also for this example, what I have done is I have done a ng generate component delete student component, right? So here is the delete component created. Now the service I have given you, two more things have to be given. One is the delete.html. So here is your delete.html, and also the delete.typescript. So delete.typescript, simply it is calling the function that is created in the service, and delete.html actually contains what, contains another table head which contains a button, and it is calling the function which is in the TypeScript, that is and also passing this particular object whichever is selected. So let's go to the delete.typescript, and that particular object is sent to the service. Service deletes that object from its array. Okay, so things look good. I'll commit this now. So now one important thing that comes up into our mind is that whenever we are talking about a single page application, yes, this is fine. Angular is a single page application. The add student, the view, and the delete, everything is placed on the same, right? So it is placed on the same page itself. But when it is placed on the same page, you will not see in the websites where everything is placed like this, right? So what we actually want is we want to view one component at a time. We don't want to view all the components at one given time. So let us see how are we going to achieve that now. Okay, so to achieve that we need to make use of one functionality given by Angular, that is called as the Angular routing. So routing, we can navigate from one component to another component. So routing is all about navigation. So let's see how are we going to organize this in a better way, where if I want to view the students, I can only go for the view student. If I want to go view the delete student, I can only go for the delete student. And if I want to add a student, I can only go for the add student, no extra detail, until and unless I want to go to the a particular component. Fine. So for that we have to understand again a special file given to us when we were creating the Angular project. We have created this particular project with the routing on. So because we have selected the routing there, we have a file called as the app dash routing dot module dot typescript. So this file is created, and because of this particular file uh, we can perform routing in Angular. So this is the important variable for routing, which is the routes. So we have to specify the routes here in this, and upon providing that particular route, our Angular navigates to that particular component. So one important thing is that we need to configure the route, and also we need to tell on what particular page the routed component is displayed. So first let's configure the routes and see how things work. So for configuring the route, we need a path for this. So path is nothing but the address upon which the component has to be displayed. For example, if I want to go for 400 slash add, so upon add I have to show this add student component. As of now, if I hit add and nothing is happening, it in fact shows me an error on console saying that there is nothing called as add which is configured to match this particular address, right? So I have to configure that address first. The path is going to be the add. So if a user clicks on the add, or user types in slash add, at that time the add component has to be displayed. So you use the path and then the component. So what component has to be displayed? The add student component has to be displayed. So you write the component name and you write the path. So like we have the other components, there was a add component, view component, and delete component. So upon if a user types in view, then the view component has to be displayed. So we will be writing a view component here. This is class view. Yes. Similarly, the delete component. So all three addresses we have configured now. Okay, so let's just save it, and after saving it, let us see whether this error, if I type in slash add, will be gone or not. So if I type in slash add now, you can see that add stays there and there is no error at all, but still I'm able to see all the components being displayed on my page. Now I don't want all the components to be displayed. So what I want is, I want only one component to be displayed at one given time. So how are we going to display that? For that, what we have to simply do is that we have to use a router outlet. So where our elements, where are these components being displayed now? So these components are displayed on the app.html. So on the app.html, I'll comment everything, nothing should be displayed here. Okay, so what should be displayed on this component? So this is the parent component, right? So let's just write that here, calling it as the parent, or let's call it as the root component. Now root component should not display everything at once. Root component should just use the router outlet. So router outlet tells our Angular application that this is the place where the component has to be placed, right? So let's save it, and you will see that now if I type slash add, only the add component is being displayed. Similarly, menu is also displayed. So let me check if I have added menu somewhere. Yeah, menu I think I've added in the index.html. So I'll go to index.html just to clear that particular confusion. So let's remove that, and we will see only the add component. So upon click of the add component, we will have only the add, and I think I have configured that in the app dash module.typescript as well. So I'll remove that from here, the app and the menu. So let's remove so that we avoid these errors as well. So upon slash add, only the add component is being displayed now. Let's now type in view and see only the view component getting displayed. And let's type in delete. So upon delete, the delete component gets displayed. So this is what the magic of routing is all about. Although it is just one single page, but at one given time, only one component is displayed to you. You should not be displaying all the components at once. If you display all the component at once, obviously the end user will be confused what component he is seeing and what functionalities he wants to make use of. Fine. So the next point is that no user is going to remember all the addresses, right? So users don't remember this address like add and all that. So how are you going to make the life of a user easy, so that a user can click on view, add, delete, and upon that a user sees these sort of things? Fine. So before going to that, let me just share this example of the app routing module to you, and after that I'll show you how do you add up the links and redirect the user to a specific component. So now let me just add up a routing example. This is going to be our demo to routing, and in this routing, so we have to go for the app dash routing dot module dot typescript. So this is the file that you have to look for, app dash module app routing module dot typescript. So app routing module dot typescript. So this is something which I have configured. Right, so in the app module dot app dash routing module dot typescript, I have configured this three paths. This is the three new lines that are added. One is the add, view, and the delete. So upon typing add, the add student is displayed. Upon typing view, view student is displayed. Upon typing delete, delete student is displayed. So for this, one more thing I have configured, that is the app.html, where I have removed everything. So you can see that app.html. So I've removed everything, just commented out, and use the router outlet that shows us where this component has to be displayed. If I write this router outlet just above this root component, the component will be displayed here. Fine. So I'll commit this. So you can see that if wherever I add the router outlet, component will be displayed there. Okay, so let's test that. If suppose instead of putting this router outlet here, if I put the router outlet above this paragraph, that is root component, so you will see that a component will be displayed above this paragraph root component. So you can see that I'm now there on the app add. If I go to view, We can see that the root component and view is displayed like this. So router outlet just is kind of a placeholder where the component has to be displayed. Now let's create the links by which a user can navigate to a proper route. Okay, so I'm gonna create the unordered list for this in the root. So you can see that whichever component it navigates to, the parent component is still visible. So whether you type in view or you type in add or you type in delete, this parent component remains there, right? So in the parent component, I'm going to create a unordered list, and within that I'm going to create a list item. So the list items will go like what? A list item will contain an ahref, that is what we have learnt in our HTML, right? So that navigates us to a particular page. So a href is equal to, so here it has to take me to view. If I type in view, the text is gonna be view student. It can be anything. The text and the link can be different. One list item, second list item, third list item, three list item we have. One is for view, one is for add, one is for delete. So this has to be the same as what we have configured in the app routing module here, add, view and delete. So it has to be the same. Then uh, the other things like this visible text can be different. So it can be view student, and this can be an add student or just add or anything, fine. And then this can be delete. Let's just call it as delete so that you can see there is a difference in that. So let me save it, and let's go to the page now. So now you can see that there's a view student here. If I click on that view student, it only goes to the view student. If there is a delete, if I click on that delete, it only goes to the delete. If I click on add, it only goes to the add component. So that's how we navigate from one component to another component. But still there is one problem into this example that I have shared with you. Now what is that problem? The problem is that I told you that Angular is a single page application, right? SPA. And in this case, you just notice on this address bar here, the moment I navigate to a different component, the entire page is getting reloaded. You can see that here also in the inspect element. So any elements, the applications, the memories and all, even if we have the files, performance, anything, things get reloaded, right? So you can see that these things, the files and everything gets reloaded. Fine. So I don't want a reload to happen on this, but ahref redirects us to a different page altogether. So Angular gives us routing. So Angular tells us do not use hyperlinks here. If you use hyperlinks, your page gets reloaded. Instead, what you can do is use the router links. So if you use the router links, in that case you will be able to route to different pages without reloading the page. So let's see the difference there. So the above one is href, the below one is router links. So let's call it as paragraph href hyperlink, and this the below one is the router link. So you will see the difference between the router link and the hyperlink. So router link, when I click on this add delete view, it is fast. It is not reloading the page. You can see that here, right? When I click on view student, add student, delete student, it's not reloading it. Things don't get reloaded here, right? So you can see that it's not getting reloaded. But the moment I click on this view student, everything gets reloaded. Add student, everything gets reloaded. Delete student, everything gets reloaded. So using links will slow down your application, but using router link will not slow down your application. So obviously using a router link is a better way of navigating rather than using the hyperlinks, because we are navigating on the same page, not to a different page altogether. So this is how routing can be used. So I'll give you this example as well, where I have used a router link rather than redirecting. Fine. So always in Angular, always use router link rather than going for the hyperlinks. So I hope this example is clear. In the next session we will be talking about more of the routing and what should happen if a user types in a wrong URL and all. Like for example, in this case, user might write something like this test, so we don't have test, right? So in that case, to what component it has to be redirected if address is wrong, or the errors in that case should not be displayed to me, right? So if I inspect this element now, you can see that there is an error because the typed URL is wrong. The user typed in something wrong. If a user types in the correct URL, at that time there is no error at all, but the user types in something extra here or some wrong URL, then there are errors. So in the next session we will be learning how are we going to manage these errors in routing. So I hope you're enjoying this series. If you like in the series, do comment on the videos, like, share and subscribe for a better reach. See you in the next video.